welcome back to the channel. So I was filming my reaction to CYL Faye channel, and unfortunately about, I'd say 10 minutes in around, my computer crashed and I lost all the footage. And so my reaction is gone and I can't recover it, unfortunately. So I'm just going to go through Faye channel and talk about what I think about everything and kind of go from there. I do want to say some things beforehand though. My predictions, that I've actually had them in other videos. I'm not sure what videos they're in because I kind of just talked about it like randomly. But my predictions were that Gatekeeper would get like some kind of Omni save skill, and that Marianne would be a beast unit maybe. I didn't actually think it was real, like she actually wouldn't be a beast unit, but I thought it'd be really cool. So if you already watched this, you kind of know what I'm talking about. So let's just go through it a bit. So we have this, the introduction. I was freaking out when I saw this. Oh my gosh. Eirika looks so amazing. Like, I know she's just dressed as Ephraim, but she looks so good. Like, the art looks awesome. It's Wada. I mean, I guess when you have Wada Sachiko doing art, like, she can't do any wrong in my eyes. Like, every time she draws anything, it looks so good. Okay, so let's check out her kit a bit. So her weapon is pretty amazing, right? Like, at first I didn't realize it was Regan Leaf, so I was like, this seems like it's Regan Leaf, and I read it. I was like, oh yeah, it is. So it has 2 effectiveness, armor and cavalry, plus $5 stats, pretty normal stuff, but you get damage reduction, right, if you initiate, and also you get half of NFU, so that's extremely good. Like, that's an extremely strong weapon. It's going to let her just blow things up, right? And that's not even everything, right? She has essentially Swift Sparrow 5, like no matter what they say, that is a level 5 skill. It's ridiculous. Also, I noticed that she has a preference skill and she's second place, so they are now getting preference skills to second place people who were voted in, and I think that makes sense, right? Like, we have units like Niffle coming out, and she's not even a legendary or a mythic. She may have planned them in, but she wasn't, and she has her own preference skills. I mean, even people like Zelgius, like back in the day, had Warp Powder, so I found it kind of ridiculous that the CYL units were not getting, you know, preference weapons in second place. So I'm glad to see that they are getting their preference skill, not weapon, preference skills. And did she get one? Oh my gosh, this thing is insane. Okay, first let's talk about Surge Sparrow. So Surge Sparrow is literally Swift Sparrow 3, but it also heals, and it heals off percentages. It's not based off like, it's not like noontime or something where you're like, oh, you know, heal for a little bit of damage. This is based off your HP, your max, the unit's max HP. Like, it's actually insane how good this is. Like, oh my gosh. And it's also interesting that they are now bringing in these like X% formulas. So I feel like people who are bad at math are going to struggle a bit, right? And even if you're not bad at math, if you're like in Ether Raids under stressful situation, this could be definitely difficult to calculate, but it seems really strong. And so I might be getting 2 Eirikas and one might be dying. I'm not sure for who yet, but it might be happening. Let's go ahead and look at her preference skill. Her stats are so good too. So she has attack speed menace. So this is +6/+6 up here. So that's like 56 attack, 42 speed. She probably has super boons in them. Like, that's so strong, especially for a cavalry unit. And then we have Moonlight Bangle, right? And this is an amazing preference skill. Canto 2 is already super good, right? She also gets things that stops neutralization of her special cooldown. So I mean, she's going to hit you with that special. And her special hits hard because she gets X% of the foe's defense when the special triggers. So once again, kind of, you know, could be confusing mid-battle, but essentially you're getting some part of her special cooldown plus 20, right? So if her special cooldown is 2, you're going to get 2 times 20, and then you're going to get plus 20 on top of that, right? Now my question is, does it count special damage, special acceleration, right? So if you have -1 cooldown on your weapon, would a 3-turn special like Luna get the full 3-turn put into the formula, or would it be a 2-turn? That might be solved already on Reddit, I'm not sure. I haven't looked into it, but that is something to think about. So I'm pretty, she looks really, really strong. Like, she's going to be able to go in there and hit and run, just destroy people. I guess the thing is, like, you don't really want to run Gale Force on her, though. You could, though, but she doesn't get the big bonus of her preference skill then. She does get the Canto, though. So you could use that with, like, Legendary Sigurd and have some devastating turns. So let's keep checking, keep going. we have Marth. I'm not gonna lie, I was a bit disappointed with Marth being another sword unit. It's kind of to be expected, right? But we do have what, 2 sword Marths already, I think, and then we have a axe and a bow. So I was like, okay, sure, why not? It's done by the art is done by Kita Senri, which is pretty awesome. I don't particularly love it, but I think it does look it looks pretty good. Okay, so let's check out. So here's his preference skill. He has Shining Emblem, and essentially this just seems like a better version of Fire Emblem that his legendary form has. So I'm kind of interested to see if this shows up on Legendary Marth's remix. We'll have to wait and see, but it seems solid. And then we'll get to his kit. We can see his kit has, I think, Even Tempest this is, and then Spurn, and then a new Distant Counter ends up being, which is pretty interesting. So the new Distant Counter is kind of weird, right? Like, at first I'm like, oh wow, that's going to be crazy, but then I actually read it, and it's like, you get +5 to speed if you're above 25% HP. That's pretty solid, that's pretty good, but you're also taking damage. So it's like what units do you really want to use that on, right? Because usually when you're using a unit like that, they tend to be a tank, and you really don't want recoil damage on your tank. That's why you don't run like Fury or something like that, right? And you can use Mystic Boost to kind of offset that a bit. You'll actually heal 1 HP every time, but then you kind of want Mystic Boost just to help you heal normally. You don't really want that to be used to kind of substitute this recoil damage you're taking. So I'm not sure how I feel about this. Okay, and now we have his Yu-Gi-Oh! Text weapon. Oh my gosh, this weapon. So, I think this weapon is pretty good, but I don't think it's insane. And the reason why I don't think it's insane is because it requires a lot of allies around you. And typically, or historically even, this effect is not as good as it could be. Now, obviously Marth is getting much more out of his, I forgot what kind of tome it was, effect, right? Like, he's not just getting stats, he's getting way more. He's just getting +5 stats altogether. But he's also getting NFU if he has more than, or the allies have more than 10 stats, and then more than 25 you get +5 attack and restoring 5 HP, which is a big deal, right? Because that takes off that recoil damage from his distant counter. And then if you have more than 60 stats, which is kind of a lot to ask in my opinion, right? Because I'm pretty sure this doesn't count Marth himself. It's only the allies of people around him, so I don't think it counts himself. So in that case, it's kind of hard to get this one, and this one is essentially a Vantage, which is good and bad, right? Because the problem with Vantage is if you don't kill them on that first hit, then a lot of times you're just charging their special, and their special is going to hit you really hard, and which can be problematic, right? And I think that's why Altina is so good as a Vantage unit, because she hits 2 hits, so she can usually just take somebody out. So I'm kind of iffy on Marth. I think he's going to be a solid unit, but I don't think he's going to be like a meta unit per se. I don't think he's going to be like, a Brave Hector or something showing up. Like, you're going to be like, oh, it's Marth. Marth's pretty good, but he has his weaknesses you can deal with, right? So overall, I think it's a very solid weapon. I think it's going to be hard to get more than, maybe you can get the +25 to stats and then get that effect. But I don't think you're going to get the +60 very often. Like, even in Ether Raids, I think it's going to be pretty difficult to set that up. Unless you have maybe a save unit protecting the units in the back. Okay, so let's keep skipping. And oh my gosh, okay. So, oh my gosh. I saw this art and I freaked out. Like, I wish my reaction didn't get corrupted because I was freaking out so hard. Marianne looks so gorgeous, and her clothes look phenomenal. I can't believe they made her into like a dancer for the CYL version. I thought like we were gonna get something completely different. I was losing my breath. I didn't know what to say. And then we actually get to see her kit, and her kit is even like, it's pretty interesting. I think some people are gonna think this is kind of bad maybe, or that she got kind of done dirty or something, but I don't think so. I think she's actually really, really good. And the second I saw the Beast unit come out in her tome attack, like Fallen Leon, I freaked out. I started screaming because I called that she could be a Beast unit, and obviously she's not a Beast unit, but we do get that tome effect, and it looks amazing. This is like one of the coolest tome effects. Like, look at that. Oh my gosh, that's so dope. Okay, so we have her weapon, and I think her weapon's pretty solid. I don't think it's amazing, but I think it's pretty solid, right? So the good thing about her weapon is obviously that she gets the speed and res -6, and then she also cancels out their buffs from speed and res. But most importantly, she gets that damage reduction. And she really needs that to survive, to be honest. Because she's pretty squishy. Look at that stat. Like, she has really solid attack, really solid speed, good resistance. Defense is trash. So having that damage reduction is going to help her a ton. And it's only 10% lower than Legendary Claude's, which is, if you've played with Legendary Claude, you know how strong that really is. So that's pretty solid weapon. I kind of feel like they could have maybe given her more stats, or like even a better ratio, right? Like I said, 50%, 25%, why not, right? I don't see the reason why not to do that, because 50% is pretty solid though. Usually you can hit that, but sometimes, like when they're low, you might struggle with that. And I don't know if the 50% is tied to everything here, right? Like, it obviously is tied to the speed and res -6 and the fortify rally nullification, but I don't know if it's also, it says and also, so maybe the damage reduction. That could be kind of problematic. She does have a really nice base kit though, with attack speed, unity, NFU, and times pulse, which is going to be a big deal once we check out her special. So we get to her special, which is also a PRF, and we have Requiem Dance. And this is so cool. I think this is amazing. Even as a 3-turn special, I think Requiem Dance is just phenomenally good, and I think people are, if you don't think this is good, I think you're just underestimating how much this can get it out, especially like in Ether Raids or something, right? You can run Wings of Mercy on her, she can come in, and she can hit somebody, right? And then if you put some kind of special acceleration on her, so you run like Infantry Pulse, maybe Flashing Blade or something, you can almost always trigger this. And then you will get another dance off on one of your Gale Force units. And then your Gale Force unit can go off and kill something and proc Gale Force, or just, get an extra attack in. And the gravity won't be that big of a deal, because usually when you're doing that in a Gale Force setup, usually the enemies are right around you anyway. Usually you don't have to go all the way across the map. Not very often, I would say. Usually it's just the initiation that can be problematic if you don't have enough movement. But once you're already in there and your Wings of Mercy jumping around killing people, the gravity won't matter, I don't think. I honestly don't think so. So I think this is actually like an insane PRF skill. I don't think it's as strong as like Legendary Sigurds or anything like that, but I think it's definitely going to show up, and you're going to be seeing this in your Ether Raids. It might take a while for people to learn how to use it correctly, but once they do, you're going to see some crazy sweeps with this. And she just looks, I'm so happy. Like, I think they did her amazingly well. If you're complaining about CYL Marianne, I don't know why, because as good as Eirika is, Eirika looks amazing too, don't get me wrong, but I think Marianne's just more unique and cool. And I feel like Eirika is more just like a, I'm going to kill you, which is very good, don't get me wrong. I'm definitely going to have fun using her. Okay, so let's keep going. Let's jump over to the Gatekeeper. So his art's pretty interesting. I'm not like the biggest fan of it, but I do think it's really like unique and cool, right? Like, I like the dog, I like the cats. The art style's different than anything else in Fire Emblem Heroes, so that's cool. And I'm not gonna lie, I did not expect a green tome for the Gatekeeper. I 100% expected a Lance unit right here, and we didn't get that. So his weapon is unique, right? At first I was kind of like, huh? But once you kind of get the feel of it, he's like a really strong support unit. So he gives himself defense +3. Okay, fine, why not? But then he gives +5 in attack and speed to allies within 3 rows and 3 columns. And that is massive. Not only is that an extremely large range to cover, Duo Peony gives +6 attack in just her like rows or her columns, one of the two. And it's already annoyingly strong. Like, it's very difficult to deal with. It can just like make a unit who's strong like ridiculous. And so now we have this, and this is a massive buff. And then also, if you have allies around, he actually becomes, a strong, powerful unit. He essentially gets +6 defense and res, and then +6 attack, right? He doesn't get any kind of speed benefit. He's just causing penalties. And the other thing is, with 3 allies around, which I think isn't the best effect, kind of the same thing I was saying with Marth, it's kind of difficult to have 3 allies around with you all the time. In Ether Raids, it's more plausible, but I still don't think it's the best. And they essentially can't make a follow-up attack. So this is going to help with his tankiness a lot, because I don't think he's very fast. If we look at his stat line, let's see if they show real quick. Yeah, 17 speed. He's extremely slow. So any type of person who has a guaranteed follow-up attack is probably going to outspeed him and get that off anyway. So it's kind of like, okay, I mean, it's good, but I don't think it's amazing. But let's go ahead and check out his other skills. So we have Detailed Report. Oh my gosh. I couldn't breathe. I was laughing so hard when I read this, because here I am expecting going into this that we are going to get a preference save skill. And instead IS like trolls me, and they give us obstruct 10, and like I'm like sitting here like, are you serious? We're getting obstruct 10? Like, what is going on right now? And this is, I mean, honestly, this is really cool. Like, using skills like obstruct and actually like making them work is already cool. Like, it's not very common. I think like Akaris is the only person I've actually seen use that. But now this is actually like pretty powerful, right? Because what you can do is you can plant him, right? He's giving that attack and speed buff. He's tanky himself, and then he's stopping people from getting past. So all those annoying things where people run past your units and snipe your supports, and you're kind of like relying on save skills to stop you. Now Gatekeeper can be there, and Gatekeeper can stop them from getting past. And he also, this is really cool in my opinion, I think this is the coolest part, is that he can stop teleports, right? So he can stop Wings of Mercy, he can stop escape routes and stuff like that. Like, formation skills technically are warps, so he can stop that. And that's really, really powerful. And it's within 4 spaces, so that's like a very decent range, right? That's very strong. It's really interesting. And he's tanky enough where he can take some hits, but if not, you could use a save skill person with him in the back line. And they can, or even in front, like you could use Brave Hector in the front and then him behind, supporting Brave Hector. And that way, Brave Hector can take some of the hits for him, and he can also be in there supporting Brave Hector and protecting your back line. So I think he's pretty cool. I don't know how relevant I think he's gonna be relevant, but I don't know how relevant, right? I'm not sure. I don't want to come out here and be like he's the new meta or anything like that, because I don't think that's the case. But I think he's gonna be very fun to use, and I think there's gonna be some cool ways to get it, to put him on your team and make use of him. He does have the upgraded close counter, and so this close counter I think is just better than the distant counter upgrade because it has no recoil damage, and it gives defense +5, right? So you can argue speed +5 is a better stat, but not necessarily always, right? Like, on a more offensive unit, then yeah, speed +5 is going to help you out because you're trying not to get doubled and you're also trying to double. But with Gatekeeper, defense +5 is just going to make him bulkier, and then if his preference B skill actually works and he actually denies the follow-up, then he's not too worried about that, right? So overall, I think this is the better of the 2 upgrades to our counter skills. And I'm not sure, I want one to put on someone, but I'm not even sure who I would put it on, like maybe Brave Plot or something. I think it's very solid. And then he has drive defense. So then we have our free unit, of course, and our free sparks. We have our free sparks. We get up to 4, just like last year, which means that I really want to whale, but I'm going to try not to. I'm going to try to resist, but I don't know how long I'll hold out. I do have a decent amount of whoops right now, because I've been saving a little bit, I guess. We also get 4 Celestial Stones if we do all the sparks, and I'm like, oh, that's a lot of Dragon Flowers. My inner whale's showing. But overall, I think this was like extremely good. Like, I'm very happy to see that. I'm very happy to see that the units aren't just copies like they were last year. I'm gonna be completely honest. I was extremely disappointed last year that we got an Axe Edelgard and a Lance Dimitri and a Bow Claude and a Tome Lysithea. Like, it was so boring. Like, they're good units, don't get me wrong. At least most of them, I would say, are very good units. But they were not creative in the slightest. I was very disappointed by that. So I'm very glad to see the creativity show up here. I think even the creativity is showing up in their kits. Phoenix Master put up a stat thing, so we can actually look at their stats right here. And their stats look very solid, right? We have a 54 attack Marianne, so that's going to be what, 40 attack Marianne, and then 41 speed because she's getting 3 speed from her weapon. Her defense is low, but her tome with a damage reduction is covering that, and her resistance is very nice. And then we have Eirika over here, insane stat line offensively, and she has healing in her A skill, which is just insane. Like, I don't know how they can justify that. Swift Sparrow 3 was already an amazing tier 4 skill, and now it's tier 5. Like, I don't know how else to put it. I guess it'd be interesting to see if there's an SP cost increase. I think that would cause the whales to freak out and scream, as that would possibly increase the scores. I'm not sure exactly, but it might increase the scores on some units. Marth looks cool overall. I think he's gonna be a solid unit. I don't think he's gonna be like phenomenal. He's definitely better than like Brave Alm when Brave Alm released, right? But I don't think he's so good that he's gonna be like a meta breaking unit by any means. And then Gatekeeper is very, very interesting. I think he's very cool. I think he's gonna show up and do some cool stuff. And his stat line is very optimized, as you can see. Like, his attack is, I guess his attack is a little low. It's at 37. Wow, I just said 37 attack is low. That shows you how crazy it's gotten. That 37 attack can be considered low. 37 attack, and then his defense is at 40, but he's getting +3 from his weapon, and then 36 resistance. So he has a very solid stat line. He should be able to take some hits. Overall, for the banner, at least for me, I don't know about for everybody, but I think for me it's Marianne, then Gatekeeper, then Eirika, then Marth, I think. And I don't think that's by power, right? That's by my interest. When it comes to power, I think Eirika's insanely powerful. Like, her preference B skill is stupid how much defense it can ignore, and her healing, she's going to be a menace to deal with, 100%. So when it comes to power, I think Eirika might actually be the most powerful unit here, if I'm being completely honest. But when it comes to uniqueness and to creativity and the things that interest me, Marianne interests me much more. I think there's a lot more plays I can make with Marianne than I can with Eirika. Eirika can do some cool hit and runs. She can blow up some cool stuff. That's cool, but we can already do that, to be honest. Marianne can come in, and Marianne can nuke, and she can get a dance off through her special. And even if it's not a 2 cooldown special, I think it's still insane, and I think it's going to be really fun to use. And I'm excited to try that out. Marth is probably the least exciting unit to me. He just seems like a powered up red sword, to be honest, with some like weird, units around you helping you kind of thing. Not really my thing. He's definitely my least, most wanted unit. And then Gatekeeper obviously is this really, really cool support unit. I don't know where I'd put him at, to be honest. Maybe I could, I'm trying to think if I could use him instead of Corrin on Light Season. Maybe, I don't know. But overall, I think the CYO is much better than last year's. It's very, very, very cool. And because this isn't my initial reaction, because I got corrupted, I did get to see the GHB, and we are getting Peleus. And that is awesome. I don't think he has a PRF weapon, but even so, the fact that we're getting a Radiant Dawn major character like Peleus is so cool. I'm very, very, very excited. I'm going to build him. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with him, but I'll definitely build him and try to get some use out of him. Overall, this was a great Fae channel, and I'm very excited to see how these units are used and to see that they are uniquely powerful and not just oppressively powerful, other than possibly Eirika. I might eat my words on that one. She might just be oppressively powerful. We'll have to wait and see. But that's going to be my take on Fae channel. I'm very happy with it. I'm just glad they were creative this time. And if you enjoyed the video, please drop a like and subscribe. And drop a comment below telling me who you're most excited for, what you thought of them, and who you're going to use your free summon on. I'm really excited to see what the community rally around. And we'll be back tomorrow with more Ether raids and also maybe talking about this a little bit more after I get some time to think about it. Okay, catch you guys later. Bye.